And welcome back, adventurers, once again to Let's Play Steins. In the last episode, we finally learned the identity of Suzuha's mysterious father, and lo and behold, much to the surprise and shock of the entire Future Gadget laboratory, Suzuha's father turns out to be none other than Daru himself, Rintaro Hashida, of all people. But fortunately this revelation apparently gave Suzuha the will and fortitude and resolve to carry out her mission and travel back to the year 1975 in the hopes that she would give us the IBN 5100 35 years later. Unfortunately, as we returned to the Future Gadget Laboratory, our base of operations, there is no elderly Suzuha waiting for us here, which is somewhat disconcerting. Will the future change when Suzuha arrives, or will it change when we use the IBN 5100 to delete the very first D-mail from CERN's database? My money's probably on either, depending on which comes first. At any rate, all that we can do now is wait for Suzuha to arrive, which is going to be a rather awkward... reunion of sorts, because when we knew Suzuha, she was obviously 18, the same age as Daru and Rintaro, and as Daru pointed out, by the time she gets here, she'll be 54. After catching his breath, Daru speaks.
自分の娘が30以上も年上になってるのって見たいような見たくないような変な気分だお。
It was probably as weird for her seeing that you are actually her father to begin with.
それどころか結婚してもう孫がいてもおかしくないわね。54歳なら。
That depends on whether she actually does have grandchildren at that point, Kurisu.
この年にしてひ孫の姿を拝めるとどんな顔していいかわかんねえ。
Yeah, certain interesting time reversal, not necessarily a paradox of sorts, but we're bending the rules of time by quite a bit.
ひいおじいちゃんらしくドーンって構えてればいいと思うよ。
And Mayuri, in her usual manner, ignoring Daru's discomfort, just blatantly calls him Grandpa. That's sure to cheer him up.
ひいおじいちゃんって言わんでくる。
I think we're having way too much fun with this. However, a knock on the door interrupts their idle chatter. It must be Suzuha. Everyone looks at me. With a strange mixture of anticipation and anxiety, I slowly open the door.
Oh, Okabe.
Unfortunately, it's not an elderly Suzuha. It's Tanuji, Mr. Braun, the landlord. Instead of an old woman, we get a wall of muscle. Our disappointment is very palpable.
なんだあなたか。
なあ、
Unfortunately.
うちのバイト来てないか。
Yeah, about her. She's left town. Mr. Braun peeks into the lab.
すずさんならね、35年前。
Mayuri is letting the cat out of the bag a little too loosely there.
Shut up, Mayuri!
What she said. Kurisu covers Mayuri's mouth. She's left town. And she's not coming
なんか知っ
back.
てんのか。 あいつどこ行ったんだよ。
She didn't run off. Pay no attention to what Mayuri was saying. It's not as if she went 35 years back in time, because that would be absolutely silly.
ここ数日ずっと休みっぱなしで、次にいつバイト出るかわかんねえんだよな。携帯に電話しても繋がらねえし。
Yeah, that is because she is no longer here, and unfortunately, as hard as this may be to break it to you, she is not coming back. We don't have time for this, but I can't just order him to leave, not unless I want another cracked skull.
彼女は実家に帰ると言っていましたよ。もうここには来ないでしょう。
And Rintaro gives basically a half-truth, which is hopefully enough to
そうなのか。
should probably find something to alleviate Tanuji's anger
あ
here.
のガキ、雇い主である俺には一言もなしか。
Probably should think of a good cover story. The future is changing. Isn't this proof? On my previous leaps, Mr. Braun never came by the lab. This must be related to Suzuha's trip to 1975. Surely it's a good sign. Although, for some reason, as we just said, reading Steiner didn't trigger, which I have somewhat of a small bad feeling in the back of my head. Now, as long as the attractor field doesn't amend history again. Mr. Braun sighs and then turns to me with a very serious expression.
まあいいわ。こうして訪ねてきたのは岡部。おめえに用があるからだ。
And apparently he's forgotten Suzuha, just like that, so we can all breathe a sigh of relief.
俺に？
Apparently he has something for Rintaro, however, which is rather strange. He hands me an envelope. It's addressed to Rintaro Okabe, but there's no stamp or postmark. The name Hashida Suzu is written on the back. Huh. Could that be, well, it's obviously because those of us who are on the inside track. So Suzuha is basically writing under a pseudonym Suzu Hashida.
これは？
It's probably our communication.
今日お前に渡してくれって頼まれてた。
The lady who used to own this building. So, when she went back in time, Suzuha purchased the building that was now housing the Braun workshop and the future gadget laboratory, which, interesting tactic if I do say so myself, given the fact that she will be stuck in 1975. Well, she has to move on from 1975 for the next 35 years to 2010. And apparently she's gotten back in contact with Tanuji, although Tanuji has obviously no idea that the elderly woman that he has been entrusted the letter to is none other than the same part-time warrior who just mysteriously vanished. But we don't need to tell him that. He doesn't need to know.
誰だ？
おめえこそすずさんとはどういう関係なんだ？
You should probably get the reference by now. She's using a very blatant pseudonym there. Obvious to anyone who actually knows. Suzu-san, of course, and now he gets it. The name on the back reads Hashida Suzu. Hashida is Daru's surname.
この女性は今どこに？
いや、10年前に亡くなったんだ。
What? I would ask him if he was serious, if he wasn't serious, but by the look on his face, Tenuji is dead serious. So, Suzuha Mane, passed away in the year 2000. That's really unfortunate, unfortunately. She's dead. Apparently so, it would seem. Which means that, we're not going to be seeing her again. Ever. A wave of dizziness nearly sweeps me off my feet. I don't think Dr. Pepper is going to help us with this. I don't think anything is going to help us with this. We're so elated to see Suzuha once again, even if she was an old woman. But unfortunately our hopes have once again been cruelly dashed by the world line.
いくつぐらいの人だった？
50は超えてなかったな。
Well, if she had been 54 by 2010, she probably would have been 44 10 years prior, which makes perfect sense. The age fits.
渡してくれて感謝します、ミスター・ブラウン。
Unfortunately, we'll need to read it without him being here.
これもしかしてすずさん？
And unfortunately, Mayuri and Daru don't know yet. This is going to be exceptionally painful. The Future Gadget Laboratory has been dealt yet another big blow. Because not only do we know that Mayuri is scheduled to die in a very, very finite amount of time, now Suzuha Mane is no longer in this world.
マジで？なんで店長が？
Probably because, I don't know. She was the one who gave it to him, Daru. But, Mr. Braun clearly doesn't understand our reaction, and we are not about to explain. I thank him again. He grumbles a bit and then leaves. We're really going to need an aspirin for this. As soon as he's gone, I break the seal and open the envelope. Inside is a handwritten letter. The characters are slightly messy, as if her hand was shaking when she wrote it. Our eyes, transfixed, begin to read. And apparently it's in Japanese kanji.
岡部倫太郎様。
And it reads left to right, or right to left, sorry, and up to down.
お久しぶりです。天音鈴葉です。橋田タイターの娘です。あなたにとってはつい数時間前以来のことかもしれない。
Indeed, time differences after all.
今は西暦2000年の6月13日です。
Apparently she wrote this on June 13th of the year 2000.
これをあなたが読んでいる。だいたい10年前ということになります。
Indeed.
結論だけ書く。
She seems serious in her message.
失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した
I failed, 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 I failed. So something must have happened
私は失敗した。失敗した。失敗した。失敗した。失敗した。失敗した。失敗した。失敗した。失敗した。失敗した。私は失敗した。失敗。今は西暦2000年の6月14日です。
And now this part of the letter is from the year, from the next day.
これをあなたが読んでいる。だいたい9年前、10年前になります。失敗した。私が私だということを思い出したのはほんの1年前だった。
I only remembered who I was 1 year ago today. That's tragically ominous. So sometime between 1975 and 2000, Suzuha Mane apparently had amnesia. And judging by her frantic message, I failed over and over again, I'm going to assume that that amnesia cost us the IBN 5100.
恐怖の大王が落ちるとか言われてた日。
Now, I'm not too familiar with Nostradamus or the King of Terror, but
バカだバカだ。何が恐怖の大王だ。どうせなら落ちてくれればよかった。
it appears that Suzuha feels an immense amount of guilt.
私はこの24年間記憶を失っていた。
Oh dear. For 24 years I forgot who I was. That's that would mean that she got amnesia sometime after she arrived in 1975.
覚えていたのは名前ぐらいだった。
All I could remember was my name. And there's another page.
思い出したのはほんの1年前だった。恐怖の大王が落ちると言われて落ちなかった日。
Is she referring to the Y2K problem
恐
that
怖の
never
大王なん
happened?
てどこにもいないけど、私は死にたい。修理が完全じゃなかった。タイムマシンは不具合があった。私は1975年に飛んだ時何も覚えていなかった。
The time machine malfunctioned. The repairs were incomplete. When I arrived in 1975, I couldn't remember anything. But Daru fixed the time machine. I mean, sure, it's unstable because it was hastily reverse engineered, but I honestly have no words. I have nothing to say at this
それを
point.
今になって思い出す私は真っ白でどうしたらいいかわからず施設に保護された。
Apparently, Suzuha was found and taken to a hospital.
今は一人暮らしをしているけど、それは橋田鈴というまっさらな人間として普通に生活してきただけで、天音鈴葉としての使命は完全に忘れていて去年思い出した。
So apparently, thanks to her amnesia, she lived as Suzu Hashida and completely forgot about what she was supposed to do as Suzuha Mane.
失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した失敗した。私は失敗。
I'm a failure.
何が原因なの？タイムトラベルはうまくいかなかった。父さんの修理が完全じゃなかったんだ。でも父さんは悪くない。私が悪いんだ。
And yet she's blaming herself for the faulty time machine. So something clearly happened during the transit, and as a result, Suzuha's memory was cruelly stolen from her. And with that memory, our hopes and chances of ever getting the IBN 5100.
まっすぐ 1975年へ飛んでいればよかった。2010年に寄り道するべきじゃなかった。わがままを言ってる場合じゃなかった。これじゃ未来は変わらない。
I should have gone straight to 1975. I shouldn't have stopped in 2010. But I was selfish and the future is now doomed. Well, we can't really blame you for that, really. I don't think anyone can blame you for stopping in 2010 to find your then father.
IBN 5100は手には入れられなかった。
There's no IBN 5100.
ごめん。ごめんね。私は何のためにこの年まで生きてきたんだろう。
And there's one more, there's another page.
使命を忘れてただのうのうと生きてきた。
And rather ironically, she ended up living the very life that she never had in 2036. A life that nobody had under CERN's dystopian rule.
こんな人生何の意味もない。
Now my life has no meaning at all.
意味がない。意味がない。意味がない。
And as a result, the resolve that Suzuha Mane carried with her back to 1975 has crumbled faster than a pack of cards.
思い出さなければよかった。
I wish I hadn't remembered,
思い出せてよかった。
but I'm glad nonetheless.
君に謝ることができてよかった。
I'm glad I had this chance to say sorry.
許して、許して、許して、許して、許して、許して。
Forgive me.
私の計画は狂ってしまった。
My plan failed.
その原因をこの1年考え続けていた。
I spent this whole year asking myself why.
そして分かった。
I finally figured it out.
私が1975年へ飛ぶのを1日でもためらわなければこんなことにはならなかった。
If I hadn't postponed my leap to 1975, this wouldn't have happened.
岡部倫太郎、君はあのタイムマシンオフ会の後1975年へ飛ぼうとした私を引き止めた。
After the offline meet, you stopped me from going to 1975. Oh no. Is this another effect of the butterfly effect of chaos theory? Wait. Something happened. I've just recalled, myself, something happened after we stopped her, after Rintaro intercepted her, after arguing with Kurisu. Something happened, an event afterwards, and I bet that Suzuha is going to tell us in the next few sentences, and I cannot tell you how gut-wrenching this feels right now, and how it must feel for Rintaro of all people.
それはとても嬉しかったけど、でもそこで引き止めたのは失敗だったんだ。
I was really happy, but that's where it all went wrong. And if you're going to say what I think you're about to say, and if you've been paying attention up until this point, adventurers, you should know what happened after, sometime after we kept Suzuha from going to the offline meet and later going back to 1975.
私はあの日飛ばなければならなかったんだ。あの日を逃したらダメだったんだ。
I should have left. I shouldn't have waited. That was my last chance. So that's what she was talking about. Not her chance to meet her father. Which, well, it was her last chance to meet her father. But there was also something else.
引き止められたから。その夜に雷雨があって、タイムマシンが壊れてしまったんだ。
That night there was a thunderstorm. My time machine was flooded. And there's the answer. There is the cruel rub of the whole situation. The rainstorm that happened after we intercepted her. And given the time machine's broken state at the time, Daru may be a super hacker and a brilliant technician, but even his mighty skills are no match for the damage that is now done. Damage which is unfortunately somewhat irrevocable at this point. If only we hadn't, well, that isn't to say how could we have known. But regardless, we probably should have let Suzuha go her own way. We probably should have listened to Kurusu at that point. Oh dear. And one final page.
もしも時間を戻せるなら、あの日の私を引き止めないようにしてほしい。
If you can go back to that day, please let me leave.
そうすれば私は君たちに IBN5100 を届けられる。
Then I can finally get the IBN.
使命を果たせる。
I can fulfill my mission.
私は使命を果たしたい。
That's all I want.
父さんと約束したから。
Yeah, I promised Dad, or Daru in this case.
父さんの
Future Daru.
意志だから。
This was future Daru's dream, to change the future so that CERN's dystopian rule never took place.
私の未来を変えたいから。
And as a result of our unthinking hubris and our focus on the here and now, we unintentionally destroyed that dream.
ごめん。ごめん。ごめん。こんな人生無意味だった。
My life was meaningless, and oh dear. The final word has a scroll going down the page. And that's where the letter ends. My hands curl, crumpling the page. I realize that I am crying. Suzuha failed. She lost her memory? Her life was meaningless? This can't be happening. Oh, but it has, and it is. And all because of a simple mistake that we made, a mistake we didn't realize we were making at the time. Even though we had the best intentions, it led to the worst possible outcome for Suzuha Amane. Nobody says a word. Their faces, like mine, are frozen in disbelief. I turn to Daru. He's whiter than a sheet. Forget our grief, he is the one who needs sympathy the most. His future daughter, now an old woman, now gone.
ダルタイムマシンは直したんじゃなかったのか。
I don't think anyone is blaming anyone. I think that something else happened.
治ってたはずだよ。はずだけど、そもそもタイムマシンを直すのなんて初めてだったし、見落としがあったのかも。
Unfortunately, Daru has a point. Was his first time repairing a time machine. And even his kin skills... Actually, no, I take that back. I don't think Daru missed anything. I think he's too good for that. I think the unfortunate combination of the thunderstorm coupled with the unstable nature of the time machine itself was what led to this tragedy, but not only that, it was the fact that we actually stopped Suzuha from going before the thunderstorm. That was the real cause of this tragedy.
そのせいでお前の娘は24年間も記憶を失ったのだぞ。
There's no point blaming Daru, Rintaro. I don't think he missed anything.
僕だって好きで見ようとしたわけじゃ。
There's no point in
そうよ。
third degreeing
二人と
him.
も落ち着きなさい。橋田はできる限りのことを精一杯やった。彼を責めるのはお門違いよ。
And for once, Kurisu is being the voice of reason, although she's always being the voice of reason. This time, Rintaro, listen. Listen well.
お前はなんでそんなに冷静なんだ。
こういう性格なの。悪かったな。とにかく落ち着け。
It's not Daru's fault. I know that. But it can't end like this. It can't. Rintaro still feels responsible. What was Suzuha feeling as she wrote this letter? I look again at the words scrawled upon the page, every character resonant with despair. I wanted to welcome her back with a smile. Instead, this. Suzuha is dead, 10 years gone. Wait, how did she die? Given her state of mind, Rintaro, I don't think she died of natural causes. Don't tell me. Mr. Braun must know what happened. I run to the window and check the street. Mr. Braun is outside, closing up the shop. I think I can already
Mr. Braun!
anticipate what happened, but Rintaro wants some measure of hope. I run downstairs.
岡部、例のラジカンの人工衛星消えたってよ。大騒ぎらしいぜ。
Yeah, we know about that because we were kind of there, but again, you don't need to know about that. But something that we need to know about is very important. I guess the disappearing satellite already made the news, but we have no time for that.
聞かせてください。
ん？なんだ？
Something very
橋
important.
田鈴さんの亡くなった状況について。
A moment of truth. I can already anticipate what his answer will be, but it won't hit
で
anything.
どうする？
And he is, unfortunately, his suspicions are aroused, and there's nothing we can do about that. He looks at me hard. I meet his stare unflinching.
俺は今まで彼女の死について何も知らなかった。
Well, that isn't exactly an untrue statement there.
彼女の最後を知っておかなければならない。そんな気がするんです。そうしなくちゃいけないんだ。
And for once,
それがどんな最後だったにしろ、
sorry, you wasn't finished there.
この胸に刻みつけておかないと。
And for once, Rintaro Okabe is not acting like Horin Kiyoma towards Yugo Tanuji.
単なる好奇心ってわけじゃなさそうだな。
And fortunately for Rintaro, Tanuji seems to think that he's being sincere after all, which he is,
で、
in fact.
もう一度聞くが、すずさんとはどういう関係だ？
Unfortunately, Tanuji is also Mr. Quid Pro Quo.
古い知り合いです。
Well, we can cover ourselves with a half lie again. That's all I can say.
とても古い知り合いで、でも彼女と過ごしたわずかな時間は今も聞かせてください。
あまり言いたくはないんだがな。これから俺が言うことは心して聞けよ。いいか。
Now Tanuji is being seriously sincere. I slowly nod, and then I get my answer.
自殺だ。
I knew it. The word drops on my heart like an anvil. My knees give out. I collapse to the pavement. Suicide. As a result of her despair, her grief, and her own sense of worthlessness at failing to obtain the IBN 5100, Suzuha Mane, Suzu Hashida, took her own life.
自宅で首をつってな。俺が第一発見者だ。
And Tanuji was apparently the one who found her body. My life was meaningless. I recall those last words that she wrote, words of unimaginable despair, followed by a scrawl that could have only meant one thing. She didn't deserve so bleak an end.
そんなことになる1年ぐらい前から精神的に随分不安定になってな。それまでは明るくて優しい人だったんだが。
That was before she remembered what she had actually meant to accomplish, and by then it was already too late.
俺はあの人の家に下宿させてもらってたんだ。
And apparently, Suzuha repaid the favor by giving Tanuji, by allowing Tanuji to set up shop at the Braun workshop, thus creating an interesting time loop of sorts.
スズさんは天涯孤独だったし、葬式にはほとんど人は来なかった。寂しいもんだったぜ。
Indeed, given the fact that Daru and Rintaro wouldn't even know about Suzuha from back in June,
さっきの手
unfortunately.
紙はスズさんが死ぬ1週間前に渡された。2010年の今日になったら岡部倫太郎という青年に渡してくれってな。
Apparently, she was surprisingly specific and very frank towards Tanuji.
スズさんは予知能力でも持ってたのかと思ったぜ。おめえが上に越してきた時はな。
Well, you're not entirely wrong there, but it wasn't precognition. I can definitely tell you that much. Enough. I can't take it anymore. And even Daru would break once he knows this unbearable truth. I try to stand, but my legs betray me. I stumble, but before I fall, a small body supports my shoulder. Is it Mayuri? Indeed it is.
大丈夫？
Okay, we are as far away from being okay as humanly, as existentially possible right now. Mayuri, who clearly heard every word. It must be taking all of her strength to hold me up. Did Mayuri hear how Suzuha died? Judging by the expression on her face, I would certainly say so, Rintaro. Her eyes are wet. Her lips are trembling. And to think all we had to worry about was you. Indeed, all we did have to worry about up until this point was you. But now we have another death on our conscience. And yet, Mayuri is the one supporting me. As the dutiful hostage that she has always been, even until now. Mayuri and I bow deeply to Mr. Braun and return to the lab. When we get back, Daru is seated at his computer, head on the table. He must have heard. Kurisu is standing in front of the TV, watching an excited reporter talk about Radai-kan. The disappearance of the satellite is huge news, obviously, though no longer to us. The lounge is silent, save for the TV. I look at the table. The divergence meter still reads 0.337187%. It hasn't changed since before Suzuha left. What went wrong? Everything went wrong, and I believe we already read the answer to that in Suzuha's letter. I can't go back 10 years with the time leap machine. I can't do anything about Suzuha's death. Should I have stopped her from leaving after all? Maybe then this tragedy wouldn't have happened. Indeed it wouldn't have. But there is no way to know. What choice did I have? I can't save Suzuha. I can't save Mayuri without the IBN 5100. Suzuha had to travel to 1975. I consider my options. What if I redo these 2 days again? Could Daru fix the time machine so that this doesn't happen? Is fixing the time machine even remotely possible? Daru's skills are second to none, and the time machine was built by his own hand 26 years in the future. It seems logical that he would be able to fix it. But look at it another way. It took Daru 26 years to learn how to build the time machine in the first place, and he had to reverse engineer CERN's technology in order to do it. Maybe it's unreasonable to expect our Daru to perform flawless repairs in only 2 days. In that case, can I have Daru use the time leap machine and repeat those 2 days until he repairs it? That's not a solution. In fact, it's far from it. He'll have to start from scratch each time. 2 days on repeat just are not enough. I collapse onto the sofa and bury my face in my hands. Mayuri sits next to me and gently rubs my back. I'm grateful for her kindness. I recall what Suzuha wrote. If you can go back to that day, please let me leave. The D-mail I sent. Indeed, the one that we sent to ourselves telling us to forget Kurisu and to pursue Suzuha. Could that be the cause? Well, thinking about the events logically, that would, I believe that would be entirely the case. Because as a result of that D-mail, we went straight to the offline meet in order to, well, we stopped Suzuha from going to the offline meet, which, coincidentally enough, Daru was also going to in the first place. And then, shortly after that, the thunderstorm came in and completely flooded the time machine, which was exposed to the elements and created the conditions for which Suzuha's tragic suicide unfolded. On the original world line, Suzuha leapt to 1975 after failing to meet her father, which was always a secondary condition to getting the IBM 5100. Unsatisfied with that outcome, I sent a D-mail to convince myself to follow Suzuha and prevent her from leaving, and now we know that was a mistake. As a result, she remained in 2010 for an additional 4 days. But that night, the time machine was damaged by a thunderstorm. If I hadn't followed Suzuha that day, if I hadn't sent that D-mail to myself, her time machine would not have malfunctioned. she would have arrived safely in 1975, and she wouldn't have lost her memory. The solution is obvious. I need to cancel that D-mail. But how? We can't use the time loop machine, to jump back in time. Back to that point. I mean, we can only jump back 2 days, and that is, we can't go back any further than that with the time loop machine. So we're going to have to find another solution of sorts. Maybe we need to consult with Kurisu on this matter. But that will be it for the next episode. So when we return, adventurers, we shall try and brainstorm a few ideas to see how we can actually reverse the D-mail that we sent to ourselves back in the past. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.